Okay, welcome to another lore video, and after weeks of not a lot of news, there are a couple of bits of story to look at. Firstly, in the Federation, Hudson and his sidekick Jerome Archer are trying to get another term in office for free, despite losing the election, using Felicia Winter's absence as an excuse, following a community goal to rid part of the Federation from pirates that had moved in, which they're also trying to associate with Winter's not being around. Pretty rich coming from them, since they were around and still needed us, the independent pilots, to help them, which had nothing to do with their absence either. But yeah, this is them trying every little dirty trick in the book to try and get another term in office. Well, sorry guys, but you don't just get another term by asking for it, you were voted out. Winters does not need to be there personally. The Vice President and other advisors can deputise for her until she returns, and the departments are already in place for the day-to-day running of the Federation, with or without the President, as I discussed a couple of videos ago. So this is a lame attempt to get power for nothing. You were voted out, so transfer over the power to the Winters administration and get out. It's not a debate. But it does look like it's going to drag into the power play update, with one of the first items on the agenda being a potential coup by Hudson, as he refuses to let go of the power that he's no longer entitled to. The other big bit of news is Achilles, the manufacturer of security robots and the new SCO frameshift drive. They've had their factory in Alioth attacked. Whoever did it had the ability to fake the necessary passes to get in, and use people who could not be identified. The security robots detected them, but were fired upon, so they conveniently killed them all, leaving us with no idea of who they are. Achilles say that they've upped their security tenfold since that, and it won't affect SCO drive manufacture. This is probably true. They've got the backing of Falcon DeLacy, the largest ship manufacturer in the game, so if the worst came to the worst, I'm pretty sure they could sort out plenty of places for Achilles to build drives in, and attacking one facility is meaningless in the grand scheme of things. Amongst the suspects are, of course, Sirius. They would be the ones with the most to gain if SCO drive production was stopped, since the drive essentially made all their drives obsolete overnight, and nobody can imagine Sirius taking that one lying down. The problem is, as already mentioned, destroying one factory won't stop production, and all it's done is made Achilles even harder to attack in the future. Sirius might be greedy and nasty, but they're not so stupid they wouldn't understand that. And so, for it to be Sirius, it just seems too obvious, too neat. So what are the options? Maybe it's someone wanting to frame Sirius. And there's no shortage of people with a grudge against the company, but unfortunately that doesn't help to narrow it down much. One idea that got a mention by Burr and others was the Thargoid cult. SCO drives are made from bits of Titans, so you can imagine them not being best pleased about that. But having the resources to pull off a job like this seems unlikely. Tied into this is the fact that many of the people abducted and then rescued from the Titans went back to Alliance space and were released from quarantine. The Alliance were the only ones who decided to release the abductees from quarantine, and so the idea of them being Thargoid sleeper agents has come up again, but the same question applies really. Where would they get the resources to pull off a job like this? And there's another factor for me that rules out the abducted as the culprits. Although all the abductees from the Alliance are allowed to return to society and live and work freely there, the Alliance will still know who they all are. They would have been processed on arrival from the rescue ships where their pods were handed in, their ID established, work permits and anything they needed issued, and all of them would be on record. For the moment then, whoever attacked Achilles remains a mystery. Aegis think that the Thargoids are going to change their tactics soon. They comment on the Titans no longer reinforcing their spire sites. They comment on the speed at which alerts can be cleared again, and the general weakening of Thargoid defences. They think this is actually a move towards consolidating and reinforcing by the Titans that remain, and advise us to take them out as fast as we can before they work out how to strengthen themselves. Well, what can I say? We're doing our best, and as long as they don't keep playing about with difficulty levels and leave things how they are, that will continue. With Indra, we're down to the last 16 systems at time of putting this video together. And we'll soon get to the point, if we haven't already, where we finally stop Indra's ability to produce new alerts. Taking down the Titan may not happen this Thursday. There was a bit of a slowdown this week after a fortnight of blitzing systems, getting them down from 91 to 37 in 2 weeks. And although we got a good chance of going down to 10 systems, as you can see here, with half a dozen that could still get done by Thursday, if it doesn't happen this Thursday, then it will be next Thursday when we attack the Titan, and that will be the 4th of July, so get ready for Indra Pendence Day. And that's all been made possible by the balance patch. Indra would not even be assailable yet under the old rules, because of all the preparation that would be needed to avoid excessive complications when we get to the control sphere and want to take that down later on. Now, what made it almost impossible to overturn with a conventional push is actually what's causing its downfall, and that's the ability to take out all of the alerts and many of the controls every week in a way that just wasn't possible before. Another thing the balance patch has fixed is the ability to restore systems faster that are in post-Thargoid recovery. There are 2 ways to do this, and at least one of them has been fixed. You can now deliver commodities to various stations in a post-Thargoid recovery system and help to speed up its recovery. And Operation Ida have been experimenting with this and confirming, yep, it works. The reactivation missions in post-Thargoid recovery systems are still bugged though. Settlements being already powered up when you get there, missions not registering as completed when you leave, and so on. So avoid the reactivation missions, but delivering commodities does work to help the post-Thargoid recovery systems recover even faster. And that in itself represents another change in strategy. If they're left alone, post-Thargoid recovery systems will slowly repair themselves over a number of weeks, depending on how badly damaged they were when invaded. And it used to be that we didn't want them to recover too fast, because the recovery time could be used as a buffer against re-invasion and allow us to focus on repelling attacks elsewhere. But now, with controls able to be cleared by combat, clearing post-Thargoid recovery systems faster is on again, because it also means as we close in on each Titan and move in, taking out the systems and moving inwards towards the Titan itself, that the faster we can recover systems, the more places we'll have to park our carriers as we move in. As always, it's not the event itself but the consequences of it that are important. And the knock-on effects of all these small changes has been a much more rewarding gaming experience because everything you do does something. That aside though, this does continue for me with the mixed messaging that we've had from FDev. On the one hand saying this is the end of the war and their feedback telling them people just want it over and done with, and these changes allowing us to work properly to make that happen, but then saying work fast, don't get cocky, and don't rule out more invasions. So make of that what you will. One small change which they could make, which has been mentioned before and which we'd actually like a lot if it happened, would be for any populated system to skip the alert stage and go straight to invasion, with only the unpopulated systems going to alert before becoming controls. That way, those casual players who only really get interested when there's an invasion would have more incentive to join in, and we wouldn't get moaned at for stopping invasions at the alert stage. Not bothering to do any reconnaissance in a populated system first and simply attacking it would fit in with an enemy lashing out in a last desperate attempt to hurt us, so it could happen and have a logical reason for it. Ultimately though, whether a change happens or people keep trying to game the system to produce more invasions, sooner or later we will be left with only control systems to clear. And the options for anyone who isn't an experienced AX pilot like me are limited. I wouldn't last 5 minutes in a conflict zone. I can't fight interceptors for toffee. Maybe kill a Cyclops on a good day, and if I'm lucky, I might have more than half my hull left. But anything higher than that, and I'm dead. Just going up from a Cyclops to a Basilisk is a huge jump in skill. This may be where salvage and other kills could come in. It is possible to put together something tanky like one of the big three, Corvette, Cutter and Condor, and be able to go out with the weapons and facilities to kill glaives and scythes and scouts while collecting salvage without having to face off against interceptors or just run from them. And you can use non-guardian weapons like multi-cannons for that. Still dangerous, but you're not throwing yourself into a conflict zone, so it could be an option to participate in controls without focusing solely on combat, if you don't mind a bit more of a risky rescue than usual. And there simply isn't anything else to do in a controlled system except fights, and possibly a bit of salvage, which will still involve some fighting. Now that AX reactivations are gone, and we're only for a few of those systems anyway, there's nothing else to do in there. So for non-combatants, that's their part in the war essentially over. Perhaps FDev will think of something to do in there that doesn't involve constant AX, but I wouldn't count on it. Whether this whole war is over when we defeat all the Titans, or whether it ends this stage and the next stage begins, it seems they want this stage over with at least, and in that case, it's unlikely they'll be adding new activities and just tweaking the difficulty of the activities that already exist. Will the war just die out slowly in the background, with us steadily clearing all the Titans while all of the attention is on the power play update? Or has the war got a few twists left to throw at us yet? Whatever the case, we'll take the approach we've always taken. We'll watch out for future developments, we'll keep an eye on the news, and in the meantime, we've still got the job in front of us to do, so we'll be getting on with it. Stay safe, and as always, thanks for watching.